Executive Platinum, Emerald, Sapphire.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Crew Travel right here on Yachting International Radio. My name is Rhea. I am your host, and I'm very pleased to welcome, of course, my co-host, Lee Harris from Blue Marine Travel. How are you, Lee?
Oh, very good. I've missed you. It's been 2 weeks. So how are you? More to the point.
Well, on the mend, not 100% yet, but you know what it's like. You can't take more than a week off or people forget you exist.
Indeed, especially in your industry as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? The world of travel, it's funny because I was just talking to my daughter in Canada yesterday, and she was cursing out a airline carrier in Canada because the flight, there was all sorts of problems with the flights coming and going. Her father had come to visit her for the weekend, and there was all sorts of flights that were buggered up. And she was like, "Don't book with this airline." And I'm like, "Sweetheart, it is straight across the board. It is not just, this airline. It is every airline. It's every airport. It is, the planet is in chaos right now when it comes to air travel with just so much demand and not enough crew and staff."
Exactly right. Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, this weekend again, across Europe, it's now hitting us here in Australia and New Zealand as well. We're starting to see, big backlogs of people at airport terminals and stuff. So yeah, it is. It's world over. Until they get more staff, then it's going to be like this for a while, I think.
Well, and even when they get more staff, then they're going to have to go through the growing pains of training. So
yeah,
who knows, right?
Maybe after the busy summer season.
Par for the course. I have to mention that Crew Travel is brought to you weekly by Blue Marine Travel, who haven't lost a passenger since Lee Harris was born back in the late 1900s, and their people move people.
Yes, we do.
Good thing, too, regardless of the chaos of the travel industry at the moment.
Yeah, we try to, if the airports and airlines allow us.
You might actually have to send staff in just to lift them and carry them at this stage. Insane. What's going on in the US?
So the Biden administration has dropped the COVID-19 testing requirement for inbound air travelers from abroad to the US. This is ending one of the longest running travel restrictions of the pandemic. The rule put in place by the Trump administration in early 2021 and later tightened by the Biden administration most recently required inbound travelers, that including US citizens, to show proof of a negative COVID test a day before boarding US bound flights. Travelers entering the US at land border crossings were exempt. However, no testing is now required to reach the US, whether that be if you're staying in the US or if you're only transiting to another third country.
Nice. Well, that's good news. I mean, the US is a major area where people come in and out and all the way around, really.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's not the Caribbean season at the moment, but it'll be kicking in straight after the meta game. So it's going to be a massive help to all crew. That's for sure. It is 24 hours prior to get a pre-departure test is tight at the best of times. I'm traveling back to the UK at the end of next month, and we're flying via the US. And so, from me personally, it's a massive help, and also a massive saving as well that we don't have to get the tests for the 5 of us.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one, is the test costs. I mean, I know it's ironic because, there's some countries that are doing the test for free. I know in Germany that you can get tests for free as a German citizen walking around the streets, or anybody really. But a lot of other places, and it's not cheap.
Yeah, that's right. Certain countries. In New Zealand, you can get RAT tests. The problem that you have is that certain countries or airlines or transit points that you're going via, they won't recognise just a self-administered RAT test as a valid form of proof of taking the test. So then you have to go to these companies who are charging you ridiculous amounts of money to get a RAT test. I know here, there's some were charging over $200 just for one RAT test, which is just crazy. So like you say, the amount of money that people should be saving from this, will be a lot.
I can't do those self-tests. I tried it. I do. Like, no, it's just no.
Maybe we should get you to do it next week live on the show.
Yeah, you'd love to see my facial expression. Yeah, that'd be great. Exciting. Now you've already seen a preview anyway, right? So there's no need. I don't know. How it's like you stick it in. Not that I have a brain or anything, but you're sticking it way up in there. It's just no. Yeah. Not nice. I'd rather stay home. So there's news out of Gatwick Airport. What's happening over there?
Yeah, not so good. Gatwick, the UK's second busiest airport, is taking decisive action following disruption over a challenging Jubilee bank holiday weekend and in the face of staff shortages. The number of daily flights will be limited to 825 in July and 850 in August. This meaning as many as 10% or around about 100 flights a day will be removed from their schedules. Gatwick insists the vast majority of flights will operate as normal over the summer peak period, despite imposing restrictions on the number of services in a bid to limit further delays and cancellations.
Didn't I hear that EasyJet had canceled a bunch of flights to like Turkey or something from the UK?
Yeah, lots of airlines have been cancelling. EasyJet, TUI had been cancelling a load as well. Various reasons they're giving. I think they're all sort of playing a little bit dumb, to be honest with you. I think we all know the real reasons why they're being cancelled, but they're trying to put a positive spin, shall we say, on it as much as they possibly can. But yeah, no, it's just short, staff shortages, which is causing a problem the world over.
Yeah. Well, good news for Canadian people.
Yeah. Canadian people, yes. The Canadian government has announced plans to drop its COVID-19 vaccine mandate for domestic and international flights from the 20th of June. Since October of last year, travellers over the age of 12 wishing to travel need to have had a vaccine. The move marks a major relaxation of Canadian COVID-19 travel requirements. However, it's not without its caveats. The rule change will only apply to Canadian nationals. International travellers of other nationalities will still have to provide a pre-entry test result and could also be subject to day 1 and day 8 testing. Unvaccinated Canadians who are returning from abroad to Canada will also be required to provide a pre-entry test.
Right. Well, I'm sending a child over there who's 16 in September, so that's good news because she's not vaccinated.
Yep, that is very good news. Yep, she is. She's good to go. She just needs to make sure she gets a pre-departure test.
Perfect. Woo! I still get to get rid of it. I'm just kidding. News out of New Zealand.
Yeah, the government of New Zealand will drop its requirement for arrivals to take a COVID-19 pre-departure test from 11:59 p.m. today, June the 20th. New Zealand had planned to drop the rule by July 31st, but the date has been brought forward as case numbers fall. The country's official COVID website said, "We've taken a careful and staged approach to reopening our borders to ensure we aren't overwhelmed with an influx of COVID-19 cases. Our strategy has worked, and as a result, it's safe to lift pre-departure test requirements much sooner than planned." Now, around 90% of international arrivals undertake their required testing once they're in the country, with only a 2 to 3% positivity rate. So we don't anticipate a significant increase in border cases once the requirement is lifted. However, travellers will still be required to self-test on day 0-1 and again on day 5-6. And if the result of either test is positive, they must then go and get a PCR test.
Right. Thailand
is further relaxing entry rules for foreign tourists by removing a registration scheme and mandatory $10,000 health insurance requirements. International arrivals will only need to show proof of COVID vaccination or a negative test taken within 72 hours of travel from July the 1st. The removal of the online Thailand pass application simplifies travel to Thailand once again and removes what was a barrier to travel for some.
Right. And heading over to the Bahamas.
Yeah, the government of the Bahamas is removing another COVID requirement for international visitors. Effective from midnight on Sunday, 19th of June, travellers are now no longer needing to apply for a Bahamas travel health visa in order to enter the country. All travellers will, however, still be required to present a negative test taken no more than 3 days or the 72 hours prior to travel to the Bahamas.
And Australia has some news.
Yeah, travellers no longer need to wear masks in Australian airports due to new legislation which came into effect as from midnight on Friday, the 17th of June. The Australian Health Protection Principal Committee has scrapped its recommendation to mandate masks at airport terminals. The government announced last Tuesday. Flyers will still be required to wear masks on planes, though, to help limit the spread of COVID-19.
And you guys have some good news.
We do indeed, yeah. So Blue Marine Travel are honoured to not only be nominated, but to have made us a finalist in the Accolades Best Super Yacht Agent category for 2022. This is a prestigious event, which we are humbled that our services have been recognised. This would not have been possible without the hard work and dedication from our team, so we thank you all very much. We would also like to thank our loyal clients for placing their trust in us during these unprecedented times. Now, if anybody listening could please register Accolades' website and vote for Blue Marine Travel as the best super yacht agent of 2022, we would all be very much appreciative.
Good plug.
It was a good plug, wasn't it?
Yeah. Look at how amazing we are. Look at how wonderful we are. You're good at that.
Indeed. Yes. Yeah. I mean, that was complete self-promotion. That so.
That was. It's really, and you got to teach me a thing or two. I could use that, man. Yes. By the way, I came across some interesting information this past week. Of course, doing research as I always do, but there's been a mass migration with millionaires around the world, of course. And the top country that's losing all its millionaires is, of course, Russia, with 15,000 lost in 2022 alone. Yeah.
Wow.
Which isn't surprising, of course,
Not really, no.
But what is surprising is that there is a large, New Zealand is amongst the top 10 of millionaires migrating to the country.
Is that right?
Yes.
Clearly, I was one of them when I moved. I started the ball rolling.
That must be right. Hey, you're the man. Everyone's following Lee. They're like, oh, Lee.
Exactly right. Yeah. No, I did not know that, but that's very interesting. That's good news. That's good news. Yeah.
And the UK is actually losing it's been 5 years running now. I mean, sources say that back in 2014, or 5 years ago, actually, is when it started, when the Brexit vote went the way it did. And of course, an increase in taxes, they started losing their millionaires. And this year, they're due to lose another 1,500. So they're in the top 10 of losers of millionaires this year.
Wow. Well, yeah. It's normally you who get political, but I would just say that's probably half the Tory government's vote and population gone out of the country.
Possibly. It's interesting to see, though, because when you're in yachting, I mean, of course, you're always looking at the ultra high net worth individuals. Where are they? How can we reach them? That sort of thing. And to come across studies like this and to see where they are, it's actually quite surprising. I mean, of course, the US is by far the largest sort of contingent of millionaires in the world. But to see the shift is very into the top of choice of millionaires today is the UAE.
Wow. Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah. Especially moving to places like here in New Zealand or whatever, when people talk about the New Zealand as a country, and they think of it as quite a shut off country, due to its, location and all the rest of it. So to see, quite a large migration to the country, that's quite good news.
Well, a lot of it has come down to conflict. They're also looking for environmentally friendly areas, healthcare, safety, so many different issues. And so they're choosing countries that seem to offer that.
Yeah. Wow. Very interesting indeed.
I know, they're all following you. Right, Lee, I have to say thank you, because you know what? It is now probably about 32 degrees, and I am itching to put on something other than a sleeved shirt.
Well, I will let you go and get changed. So yeah, it's not 32 degrees here, that's for sure. We're lucky if we're in double digits at the moment.
Yeah, well, it is winter in New Zealand, so please.
It is. Yeah. Hence why I'm heading to the UK for a month, try and get a little bit of sun. Probably the wrong place to go to. Yeah, I know. Right?
Like, why don't you come to Spain or something? Like, come on.
I know. I need to move my family. They should move to Spain, and I can go see them there.
Well, then why don't you just meet your family in Spain? I mean, it's what you can buy a plane ticket from the UK if the flights are going. You can buy a plane ticket from the UK for like £50 nowadays.
Yeah, that's the problem. You just have to wait 6 hours at the airport.
6? Wow, that's a treat.
If you're lucky.
Exactly. I'm like, wow. And that's just the one airport. We're not talking about the airport on the other end.
That's right.
Insane. Lee, thank you ever so much. Your time is greatly appreciated.
No, always a pleasure. It's great to be back after the week's absence.
Yes, me too. I have to mention again that Crew Travel is brought to you weekly by Blue Marine Travel, who haven't lost a passenger since Lee Harris was born back in the late 1900s, and their people move people. So,
spot on.
I expect everyone to be back here next week, same time, same place. And thank you so very much for joining us. If you have any questions, of course, we're going to provide all the information below this interview when it airs. If you have any questions in regards to your travel, upcoming, etc., please do drop us a line. My name is Rhea. I've been your host. We'll see you again next week.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we're boarding passengers seated in zones